Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Guys, today we have a conversation that's going to be concerning to investors of various different asset classes. On the panel, alhamdulillah, we have Brother Sam, Brother Mohamed, who both manage a real estate fund. Sam, mashallah, tabarakallah, manages $250 million of assets under management. And by Allah's fadl and tawfiq, the passive income he makes from his investments is over 6 figures every single month, Allah barik. So this is a trained, in the trenches investor, Allah barik. And across from me, we have Brother Jamal, Allah barik, who's introducing a new asset class to us today. I don't know if you guys have ever played Mario Smash Bros.
I have.
So you know when there's like a new challenger?
I've not played.
Okay, it's a new challenge. I don't play, by the way. It's just I had a friend who was like obsessed with the game, and I played it once or two times. But then there's a really cool part where you unlock a new challenger. So this is like a new asset class, new challenger that's come present itself to the table. And Allah barik is very unique. What you're doing, mashallah tabarakallah, is that you're giving people an opportunity to invest in e-commerce as an asset class, where within 90 days you build them a business that produces a minimum of 10,000 USD a month for them. You've, Allah barik, had 3 exits yourself. 2 of them were multi-7 figure. Yeah. You've trained people, Allah barik, to build their own e-commerce stores, one of whom had a $5 million plus exit. And you currently have built 12 stores that are making a minimum of 10,000 USD in passive income for the investors that are invested in this particular thing. So the first time he positioned e-commerce as an asset class, I was taken aback, because when you think about asset classes, you think about real estate, think about, stocks, which is not something that we're necessarily with, but you think about stocks, you think about, sukuk, which again, it's not something that we're with, but it's, you hear about these things, right? But this is unique. So what I wanted to do was, I wanted to have these 2 investment fund managers on the panel to curiously just investigate this opportunity, because a lot of our members, a lot of our audience is constantly looking for new investment opportunities, especially when there's so much haram when it comes to the scene, when it comes to investing. At the same time, we want to make sure that the people that we're messing with are trustworthy and there's a degree of competence. You guys come from a very, very regulated background, Allah barik. So the kind of questions that they're going to put towards Brother Jamal are going to be of a caliber that's pretty high, such that the audience, inshallah ta'ala, can feel a sense of, okay, I've got some really trained guys who are looking out for me, asking questions to see if this is actually something that's a viable opportunity or not.
Like how you framed this shit.
Right? Plus, you guys are real estate maxims. So, how much of your portfolio is in real estate?
It's 220 million, alhamdulillah.
Allah, but what percentage?
What percentage?
Yeah.
Of my, it's, do you want me to say it, Sheikh?
Yeah, feel free.
It's close to 80%.
Close to 80% is Allah. So you guys are very, very heavy on real estate, right? Yeah. So, I mean, look, I want to pass the floor to you first, Sam. Do you have I want you to talk to Jamal as a potential investor, right?
Yeah.
So go on, break the ice for us.
So I think, Sheikh, just as my opening statement, of course, we're going to get to the fun stuff.
Yeah.
As my opening statement, what I will say, 2 things, okay? Is e-commerce a asset class? 2 things to it to look at from. One is from an allocation perspective, and the other is from an operation perspective. Okay. So from an allocation perspective, if you go to JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, or if you go to any tier 1 or tier 2 family offices like MAF, Majid Al Futtaim, Al Ghuraid, or any tier 1, tier 2 family offices, the way they do their asset allocation, usually a moderate asset allocation, their wealth allocation, portfolio allocation is as follows. So 30 to 40% in equities. And what do I mean by equities? It could be, public equities or private equities. Public equities being stock, and we're going to come back to private equities. So audience, remember that, right? So 30 to 40% in equities. Then they do another 10 to 20% in fixed income, like sukuk, another 10 to 20% in real estate, another 10 to 20% between alternative investments / gold, and they don't do much crypto, but that would be your crypto profile, okay? So again, 30 to 40% in equities, 10 to 20% in fixed income, 10 to 20% in real estate, and then another 10 to 20% in alternative investments / gold crypto, okay? So where I think e-commerce can fall, because if Brother Jamal is going and talking to these private bankers in JP Morgan, or let's say you're talking to a family office patriarch, where does that fit in? Because that's the language they understand, right? So it could fit in actually in 2 places.
Okay.
To your surprise.
Oh, that's a lovely-
Yes,
All right.
alhamdulillah, it fits in perfectly in 2 places. Then we're going to do the due diligence, but it does fit in 2 places. So under equities, you got public equities and private equities. So it could fall under private
Private equities.
equities if Brother Jamal is an aggregator who buys up brands or who launches brands or helps brands aggressively grow and come to a point where he rolls up those farms, those businesses, right? Then it becomes a private equity play where you can invest in one company, but that holds a lot of brands. Does that make sense? Second one is basically it could be an alternative investment.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, and you asked me, Sheikh, in the beginning, how much of your portfolio is in real estate? I said 80%. What's the other 20% is? It's all alternative investments.
Okay.
And, sometimes I get a little bit, greedy with those, like very aggressive with those alternative investments, like this business, that business. So it falls in the alternative investment category. Okay. Now the second part is operation. So regardless if it's in private equity category or the alternative investment category, we have to know who's the operator. And I think the more due diligence would fall on knowing who's the operator and what Brother Jamal brings to the table as an operator. But definitely, one-liner answer, definitely it perfectly fits private equity model in the asset allocation. If you talk to anyone from JP Morgan or family offices, they'll understand that. Or it falls under alternative investments, where the program that he has right now.
Interesting. Okay, so there's a lot I want to unpack there, right?
Yeah.
And some things I want to maybe even challenge. But I just want to give you a chance to actually explain what it is that you do first and foremost, right?
Yeah.
So we can see, does it even fall into this?
Sure. Well, I think before I even answer that question, because what you said, Sheikh Sam, is great because you've given the big picture. I think we should go even one step further back and define what an asset class is.
Yeah.
Because an asset class is anything that stores value, that generates return, and can be bought and sold. So the question isn't whether or not e-commerce feels like an asset class. Does it meet those 3 criteria? Stores value, generates
Income.
Yes, exactly. Income, and can be bought and sold. And the answer is absolutely yes. So given that that's the case, I don't think that this isn't even a debate about whether or not it qualifies. The question, I think, is it worthy as an asset class? Should you allocate X amount of your wealth or of your portfolio into e-commerce? So going back to your question, bro, what do? I build and launch and scale and exit my very own brand. So I put my money where my mouth is. I'm an operator through and through. I take great pride in playing the game that I claim to teach and do for other people. So I made my wealth doing it for myself, but I've also extended that same in-house expertise to other investors and other people who do want to tap into e-commerce, but don't want to go through the steep learning curve of figuring out what to do, making all the mistakes, and then eventually figuring it out. So we do everything for them, end to end, in a complete done-for-you service, where we will find them the product, source it. We've got people here in the UAE, in China, all around the world who will source the products for you, brand it, build the store, run the ad engine, all the creatives, and then get it to $10,000 a month minimum.
This brother right here is an e-com millionaire. He's had 3 exits, 2 of them were multiple 7 figures, Allahumma barik. And guess what? He is ready to build you your own dream e-com business. Inshallah ta'ala. You have to do nothing except cough up the initial investment of $45,000. Within 90 days, him and his expert team are going to build out a fully functioning e-com business with a revenue engine that does a minimum of $10,000 in revenue for you every single month. This is literally passive income for a legitimate business built by a 3-time exit millionaire e-com entrepreneur, Allahumma barik. Many brothers from our network of ultra high net worth entrepreneurs, investors have already invested in him. We're talking 9-figure brothers, 8-figure brothers have trusted him with this investment opportunity. So look, 90 days from today, inshallah ta'ala, You can have your own e-com business with a 10K a month revenue engine. All you need to do is book a call at the link below, inshallah ta'ala, and discuss and cough out that 45K, and the rest is history. Let's go.
So in essence, what you're saying is, Allah Barik, what you do is someone who wants to have passive income through something like an e-com store, but doesn't want to go through the headache of actually building it.
Yep.
They basically come to your tried and tested operator who's done it, over a dozen times, who's going to basically just build this revenue generating
Done
machine,
for you, basically.
done for you, and give you the keys and say, hey, listen, here you go. This is now generating a minimum of 10K for you every single month, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, cool. So that's what you do. Does that still fall in the private equities?
That would fall. This specific model would fall in alternative investments.
Alternative investments, yeah.
It would fall in that bucket.
Yeah.
But if Brother Jamal, and maybe he's already thinking that, now he takes that model and he does not do it for one brand. So an investor might come like, I don't want to do a store for me, but what you're doing, I'm interested in. So if you do 10 stores like that, take equity in those stores, and we're going to fund your equity. Then you become a private equity.
Whoa. That's a good. Well,
I saw smiling. I don't know if it's a good or bad, bro. I don't know
I'm
what
smiling because anyone who is watching this and has a critical mind, and I think your audience are they are more intelligent than most. They'd be asking, hold on, why is this guy doing it for other people? Like, why not just build multiple brands for himself? And that's a very good question, because it's not a purely selfless mission. I have an agenda here, an angle, which is, yes, we will build the brand for you, but now my next play is I don't want to just exit my own individual brands. I've had 3 exits, alhamdulillah. My next big play is exactly as you said. I want to build these brands for people, and alhamdulillah, right now we are well capitalized, and we have the expertise, all of the resources to take equity in some of these brands, roll them up, and then have an even bigger exit than I could have with one individual brand.
Yeah.
And then, of course, if you have that exit, the guys who you build these brands for,
Of course, everybody gets
Well,
the
of
pie.
course.
Everybody gets the pie.
right?
We all eat.
Yeah.
Okay, that's stage 2.
That's stage 2. So I'm building these brands as if they are my very own brands, because many of them will end up being a part of the portfolio that, inshallah,
Got you.
I'm building.
So that's when exactly it becomes a private
Private
part of the
equity
private.
play.
So then he gets a bigger pie share, because the allocation, remember,
Yeah.
usually they do 30 to 40% into equities.
Yeah.
Now, the presentation, $100 million family office, now you potentially have exposure to $30 to $40 million of that family office,
Okay.
versus having exposure to 10 to 20%, because that's what they do for alternative investment.
Okay, so I have a question, right?
Yes, sir.
Allah Barik. So I want to challenge something. Obviously, one of the things that is constantly, heard is that one of the best ways to get rich is through investing in real estate. Real estate produce the most millionaires. Most millionaires, have real estate. But actually, also, if you look at it, right, if you look over the last 20, 30 years, the ability to own demand through the likes of what Nike has produced, Amazon, and all those other big brands, owning customers, owning demand, that's produced a scale of returns for its investors that the likes of real estate can't produce. Or am I misunderstanding here?
Do you remember getting to
So then my
finish
question,
your question.
answer
Yeah.
that. My question would be, why, if the upside is so high, right?
Yeah.
Because you can 30, 40, 50x by investing in an e-com brand, right? If you put in, for example, your minimum investment that people invest with you is 45,000 USD, alarm betting. But then now if you've exited that brand for 5 million, 7 million, 8 million, 10 million, bro, the scale was ridiculous here, right? So if the upside is so high and the barrier to entry is so low, why are we only putting 10, 15, 20% of our allocation towards an asset class like this?
I have an interesting take on this.
Okay.
And it's obviously the common logic is that e-commerce specifically, or any similar types of businesses or industries, usually have a big upside because also the downside can also be huge, right? So high risk, high reward. We all know this. Personally, if you're willing to make and if you're willing to take that risk to make like bigger multiples, it could probably be a very good business model. But that's why I'm very bullish on real estate, because I do believe, for example, brother Jamal, mashallah, he's the best at what he does. Amazing business model, has done great. And I think everything that he's doing, he's done it to perfection, mashallah. But do I personally see it as an asset class? Personally, no, not yet. At least not for the time being. I see it as a great business, as a great opportunity to make money. But what's the underlying value of this? And this is exactly why you make a lot less multiples, a lot less return on investment in real estate, because the barrier to entry is high. And number one, there is so much underlying value in the actual asset that you're investing in. So it's not going anywhere. The asset is always going to be there. It's going to fluctuate a little bit depending on the cycle and depending on when you bought it and when you're exiting. But that's exactly why it's a very stable market. So in response to what Brother Jamal said, it's the best way to preserve wealth, and that's exactly what defines an asset class, in my opinion, at least in my humble opinion. Is the best way to preserve wealth. So that's why you won't see that fluctuation that you would see in other.
But wealth preservation is one thing, but also wealth creation is another, right? So my question is more around what is a better vehicle? Not necessarily a better vehicle. Obviously, we know real estate makes money, right? Makes crazy amounts. But if there are ways where, because like you said, the barrier to entry in real estate is very, very high.
Yeah.
Right. Like you got to have, like if I'm not mistaken, for the previous project you guys were fundraising, 100K was like the entry, right? Allah Barik.
Now it's 250K.
Now it's 250K. So
but the good news is
only Brother Jamal can invest.
Allah Barik.
But the good news is it's becoming easier too, right? With tokenization and all of that.
But at the same time, this is now 45K, which is a lot less.
Yeah.
But,
right.
But can I say something real quick?
Go on.
Because as you were speaking, bro, I'm like, you know what? I'm not surprised you're saying that.
Yeah.
Because every asset class that we know today that's mainstream, real estate, stocks, gold, there was once a point where they were too risky to be considered an asset class. All asset classes have a window where they are appealing and they qualify, but they aren't yet crowded enough to be expensive. If you were to invest in real estate in Dubai in 2002, for example, incredibly risky. But those people who did it then are laughing right now. And I'm sure there were people back then who were laughing at those who were, throwing money into the desert that was Dubai 22 years ago, right? Or 24 years ago. So you have to kind of understand that I want people to, like, the masses will not accept it as a way to create or preserve wealth. That's why the barrier to entry is so low. But give it 10, 20, 30 years, everyone and their mother is going to be talking about e-commerce.
Yeah.
And it's going to be incredibly more expensive to launch your own brand.
Yeah.
And right now, I think we are in that window with e-commerce.
I'm curious to know what gives you so much confidence to make such a bold statement like that. So the next 20 years, everyone and their mother is going to be talking about e-commerce. So what do you know that we don't know?
Because I talk to people every single day, and there isn't a single soul I've met in the last, say, week, for example, who doesn't love the idea of having their own brand. Oh, I've got this idea, or I want to build this brand. Or, I've always wanted an e-com brand, but I don't know how to start. Or I tried and I failed, and because it is the oldest business model in the book. Our Prophet ﷺ used to do commerce. Right. He used to go to Syria and Yemen in the winter and the summer, bring it back to Mecca and sell at a profit. We're just doing that now, but in the digital space. So
in essence, what you're saying is you're productizing commerce.
That's it. And now I thought it was, relatively straightforward to go through all of the different processes when I got started, obviously I made a ton of mistakes. But now with AI and what we do with AI, we are able to cut so much cost and expedite so much. And with the pace of the AI revolution now, with all these new exciting tools coming out, there'll come a point, I believe, where in the next 5 years minimum, there'll be a tool out there with one click, you will have the entire thing built out for you, the product. And then you'll have a flood, a massive influx of all these e-com brands. But so right now there's a very, very good gap between the number of sellers or brands out there and the number of customers. But there'll come a point where there'll be so many more brands being launched, and the demand will always be increasing, but that gap will get smaller and smaller and smaller. So there'll be all these brands competing for the same pool of customers.
And we saw that happen with the creator economy, right? Guys that started making content back in the, like 10, 15 years ago, they capitalized off of the opportunities a lot greater now.
Yeah.
Now, there's so many more creators than before competing for the same pool of ice. So what you're saying is that the opportunity is now.
It will get saturated.
It will get saturated.
Yeah, and obviously there'll be the top 5-10% who'll always be making money. Everyone else will be paying the ad platforms, and they'll be the ones making money.
Got you.
But I think right now we are in that short window, and within a few years it's going to be even harder.
Okay, Sam, I want to bring you in, bro.
Yes, sir.
I feel like you have a point to make, so
Yes.
package it into your response, inshallah.
Yeah, inshallah.
But I want you to get in some merciless due diligence now, right?
There'll always be mercy, Sheikh.
Yeah.
Brothers.
a little bit of mercy. Mercy's off camera.
Inshallah.
But no, I want to talk numbers. I want to talk real risk mitigation, so on and so forth. So, as if you are potentially considering this opportunity for yourself. Of course, it's not financial advice, just to be clear.
Of course.
And the brothers aren't necessarily condoning anything. It's just an exercise, an experiment to train you guys and to think these things through, like the brothers who are on the panel think them through.
Yes. Okay, Sheikh. So I'll package it in something that I was going to mention. Is we all know, we have all heard at one point that real estate produces the most millionaires.
Yeah.
Did we ask why is that the case? Why that case is because real estate always rides the wave of inflation. As there is inflation in the market, you, without doing anything as an operator to your asset price goes up because there's an inflation. So then when you pass it on to the next generation, it has like massively exploded in value without you having to do anything physically to it to add value. And that's why real estate produces the most millionaires, right? Now, that's the intrinsic benefit of investing in real estate. So my first question to understand e-commerce, what's the intrinsic benefit like that as an asset class? So for example, what's the intrinsic benefit of gold? It holds value. We have seen what happened when people cash and all that war situation happening, everything flocking to gold. It has the intrinsic value. Real estate intrinsic value is literally, it rides the wave of inflation all the time. The government's printing money. America is in $38 trillion debt. Look at American real estate market right now. For you to afford a house, before people could afford it when they were just barbers and hairdressers, now they have to do 4 or 5 jobs and still cannot afford because the prices have gone up with the inflation. So first question is, what is the intrinsic benefit of the brand that I'm building? Like, what's the intrinsic benefit?
You own the customer.
Okay.
The customer, the first party data, the revenue that you generate from this customer on a predictable basis, that is the value. You talked about how with inflation, the price of real estate goes up. That is a very passive thing for a real estate investor to experience because you're subject to the rate of inflation. With e-commerce, you can dictate how fast the value creation is for your brand. You can pull levers, you can cut costs, you can launch new products and increase the value of your business. In fact, what I do is I have a 3-year process where the first 2 years we're just focus exclusively on growing as aggressively as possible. 1 year before exit, we go through a process where we're now getting ready for that exit process where we want to maximize our valuation. And you can't do that with real estate. Yes, you can renovate. Yes, inflation and the government can call or call shots, or do or go through things to increase the price of your asset, of your real estate. But you yourself, you have very limited options. With e-commerce, there are a ton of things that you can do to expedite the rate of growth, the rate of value creation, and whatever capital appreciation that you might have over 2-3 years or 5 years or 10 years in real estate, you can shrink that to 1 year in e-commerce.
Mm-hmm. So two points there, brother. Actually, it's not limited. There's unlimited options in real estate to add value.
Yeah.
What I was saying is inflation is a point where you add value without doing anything. Is there such thing in e-commerce where it adds value without you having to do anything? But in real estate, you could do tons of things, and that's what we do for a living, where you force appreciate things. The second quick point I want to mention, because maybe I don't understand the product well, but you mentioned that you control the customer. My biggest issue always with e-commerce was that Amazon controls my customer or Shopify controls my customer. I don't own the platform. So just because, and it happened, I think in 2023, 50,000 guys are putting fake reviews. Yeah. I also get canceled, but I never got a fake review.
Yeah.
And I have now stocks, I have whatever. So what kind of control do I actually have over the platform?
Yeah, good question. So yes, with Amazon, they are Amazon's customers. My first brand that I sold, it was 95% Amazon, 5% Shopify.
Okay.
And we still had a big exit, but the exit valuation would have been a lot higher if it was diversified with Shopify as well. So this most recent exit I had last month, it was 70% Shopify, 30% Amazon. So with Shopify, you own the customer.
Okay.
They are yours.
I see.
And that allows you to demand.
So is that a shift a lot of e-commerce operators are doing right now?
I've got a friend who does $25 million a year, and he is almost exclusively
on
Amazon.
Oh, on Amazon. Okay.
On Amazon. And if he were to exit, he would have a very large premium because he's been in business for more than 9 years. So there are certain factors that allow you to have a higher exit multiple. One of those things in the case of my friend is he's been in business for, close to 10 years.
So he's a huge track record.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you can have a similarly high valuation being in business for only 3 years if you were
having more Shopify.
If you were if you own the first party data. With my most recent exit, we had a very good multiple because we had 195,000 people in our email list. So if we wanted, we were literally printing money by sending emails to our customers.
Yeah.
So are you saying that the intrinsic value is in the data?
The data is what people buy. It is what buyers are buying. When they value your business, they look at the P&L. And based on the P&L, they are able to see whether or not this is something that has longevity, sustainability, where they know that if they take over the business tomorrow, it won't go away.
But I think there's a bit of a difference here, right? Like real estate, just owning land, owning a building, the price will appreciate regardless. The data will only be valuable if someone does something with it.
Actually,
I'm not sure if the analogy completely aligns, but I think really where the value here is, and correct me if I'm wrong, is in the machine that you build. As in, he builds an end-to-end machine where there's a product that's got product market fit, right? All the logistics, the shipping routes and whatever are already set in place. He's got a team that's basically running the system. You're actually handing people over a machine that is intrinsically making you money, and it's got the capacity internally built to grow and scale. I think that is where the inherent value is.
Yes, and I think I'll make it 5 seconds, bro. So I think that's where, and there's nothing wrong with it. And that's why we have different asset classes and different allocations, bro. But I think the point here is, without active involvement, your brand means nothing. Like, you cannot just sit and watch and it's up. And that's why real estate produced the most millionaires, because you could be a dumb guy. You know, you could be like literally inherited something, sat on it for 40 years, and you're a millionaire. So we're not saying this is necessarily good or bad. We're just saying that's an intrinsic thing of real estate.
Okay, so but here's the thing, right? So in essence, what I'm understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, what I'm understanding is this is safer.
Yeah,
Right.
of course. And that's why the returns are lower.
This has an element of increased risk, or maybe a significant element of increased risk, but the returns are a lot higher.
Yeah.
Which is why the allocation in terms of portfolio
Exactly.
is going to be less than real estate.
Yes. Yes, on a general. But always an operator, I'm a real estate operator. Because I know what I'm doing, of course, I'm going to lean towards more real estate allocation. Same with Brother Jamal. Maybe he's 80-20 on the other side. Maybe he's 80% of his wealth and time and money goes to building e-commerce brands because he knows what he's doing. But we're talking to an audience, let's say they don't know real estate and they don't know e-commerce. Where do you put a little bit of more of your money?
Okay, so then I want to pivot the conversation slightly, right? From investing in e-commerce as an asset class or real estate as an asset class to the operator.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So how should people think if now it's like, okay, cool, look, e-commerce on a day-to-day, I wouldn't really throw money at it because I don't understand it. Real estate, I wouldn't really throw money at it. I make money from X, Y, Z. I'm a crypto boy, for example, which he doesn't like. It's like, but you know what? You have a track record.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you're telling me basically invest in you to be able to manage the operation end to end. If, for example, someone is, and I know people do this with yourself, right?
Yeah.
But now, if we're doing this with Jamal, what are we looking at if we're testing the operator himself?
Okay.
Can I mention the 2 points I think that are very, very important and that would also give weight to the conversation in terms of the business model? There's no doubt that e-commerce is could be a real money-making machine.
Yeah.
And also sometimes it could flop, like any other business. Yeah. But there are two things that are very important, and I'm going to allude also to the operator perspective that you mentioned, is the compounding element of real estate, which is absolutely not even comparable to any other asset type. Because when you have an asset that's fully paid off, that's generating money, you could actually use that and compound it into other bigger assets. You could get a fully Sharia compliant loan, and you can get financing of, because you have that security. That compounding, if you compare it to any other asset type, is never there. And also you could use that, whatever asset that you own, into entering into other arrangements and other bigger developments with other people. So I don't see that in other asset types, and that's why I'm a bit skeptical about it. And I'll notice that in one of the like, what makes also, like you said, what makes this business model, and when you were talking about operator being involved heavily in real estate, like what we do or what other people do, especially when they're operators, is that they know exactly how to underwrite that building to make sure that they plan for the worst case scenario. So the exit, God forbid something happens, markets turn, the tides shift. I don't see any other market being as stable, or any other asset
Basically,
being as
the
stable.
downside is protected in real estate.
Always.
Okay, but
Always.
Okay, but you know, this triggered something in me that Jamal mentioned, so I want to push back. Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah.
But his point, we missed it. He had a valid point he was making, which is that when it comes to real estate, there is a degree of passiveness, right? Of course, as operators, you guys are going to do things, but I'm talking about if someone invests in this as an asset class. If I put money in now and the Strait of Hormuz gets locked, now it's a waiting game. I just have to wait and see. We trust and we have confidence after Allah's word that this is an asset class that's always performed well and it will eventually appreciate this, that, so on and so forth. But now, there's not much growth that can happen in that time.
But Strait of Hormuz affects that business more than real estate.
But he could just open up in a different geography. He could just literally launch his brand.
But he still needs real estate, right? Like, not him specific,
But
but
him,
the entire industry needs real estate.
He's got so much. Come in and tell me if I'm right or wrong. But you got control.
Yeah.
Right? If the market is down here, I'll test another product over there. I'll find suppliers over there, run some ads, test some different angles. And just what you can do on a daily to get yourself out of the mess just seems a lot more agile. You can be. It's just a lot more of an agile model.
Yeah, exactly. And just recently, we diversified to Germany, and we were able to do that in the space of about 6 weeks, where we were able to get stock from China to Germany, and we opened up Germany as a marketplace, and we were able to add maybe 10% just in the space of 2 months. And and you're able to just pull so many levers, and sometimes that can be to your detriment because you don't know what's a noise or a signal, and you don't know what's going to move the needle. But having been in a space for alhamdulillah more than a decade now, I know exactly which levers that will add the most value, that will move the needle.
Okay, I have an angle there, Sheikh. It just came to my mind. So if an asset class requires that much of active operative mindset, active involvement, versus an asset class, our main job is new acquisitions, new money, the old building, it's set. I don't go and talk to the tenant every day. I don't have to worry about it every day. It's a 7-year lease contract with Microsoft. You know, and they're going to pay me for the next 7 years. I'm done. Where's the next asset? How do we build it? I'm done with this asset. It's just giving me cash while it's appreciating, right? But that's where I think the asset class argument somebody might come, because it needs actively for you to look for marketplace, pay that's got shut down, this got increased, that got increased. Yeah, it's more fun. It brings more reward. It should, because it's taking so much time from you to generate that, versus real estate doesn't as much.
Right, but the thing is, from the investor's perspective, he's putting money here, he's putting money there. He's not doing any of the work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just, my thing is I have a high risk tolerance, by the way,
Right.
which is probably bad. But, and I'm just thinking out loud. The idea of putting my money in a real estate project where there's volatility in the world right now, and I don't know if this is going to produce when it's going to produce, versus giving my money to a guy who can just get to work and do a bunch of different things.
Fantastic.
It excites me a little bit. Because I'm like, you know what? There's going to be a wait and see game kind of here. But if I trust the operator,
fantastic,
he's going to find a product fit somewhere in the world.
So I think, Sheikh,
but there's only one Jamal in the world. That's the thing. Like because he's really good, and we trust him and we love him, so we know. But not everybody.
And also, there's only 197 capital, because you guys are also just to mention, you guys are also doing some unique stuff, which is that you're using the current climate to your benefit, investing in things that
essential commercials
that, regardless of the geopolitical situation,
Yeah.
people are going to make money.
Yeah.
But I'm not talking about you. I'm talking
in
as
general.
a concept.
Sheikh, but I got the perfect one.
Go ahead.
So the person that has higher risk tolerance, the question they ask is, what's the upside?
Yeah.
The person with lower risk tolerance asks the question, what's the downside?
Yep.
So what's the downside?
Let's go to what's the downside.
Yeah.
Can
We ask, how does it fail?
Can me investing in commerce, can my investment go to zero?
Your investment can't go to zero. So the worst case scenario now, as e-commerce, at the end of the day, we're talking about whether or not it's an asset class. It's a business. It's a business. That's why, in any kind of business, there are things that you have to do to grow the business and actually make money, right?
So the business is the asset class, and this
So it falls under alternative investments.
Alternative investments, yeah.
Now, the worst case scenario, if we were to just really get clear and vivid here, the worst case scenario is you find a product, you order some stock, say $10,000, you run some ads, you test, you iterate, and you can't shift that stock, so you end up with dead stock. That's the worst case scenario.
So let's play that, brother. Let's actually play with numbers. So inshallah, your program...
And I think let this be the conversation of this.
I think this is the great conversation. So your program is $45,000, right, Sheikh? Okay. So from that $45,000, what is non-refundable? Like, what is not going to my business? What is going to as a fee to you?
$30,000 is what you pay as a service engagement.
As a consulting fee, service.
Exactly.
So that's the fee. So that's the non-refundable part.
Yes.
So that's not going...
Even that, we have some clauses that...
Of a money-back guarantee.
Exactly.
But this is not going to building my asset. This is going towards
Yes,
fees.
exactly.
Okay, so what's going...
Management fees, basically.
Management fee.
Yeah.
So what's going towards building my my brand is that $15,000.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what are the chances of me never seeing that $15,000 ever again? So let's go towards that. And you started on that situation. Let's say I ordered a product that becomes obsolete for whatever reason. Apple came up with something. We don't need this product anymore.
Yeah, so the worst case scenario is you end up with dead stock.
Yeah.
Now, if that happens, and I've experienced that over the years, that's not so bad. Because you can do what's called a liquidation strategy, where you can bring down your price to break even or just below break, make it super appealing, make it a no-brainer for people to buy. And now you're optimizing to clear the stock as opposed to generating a profit. And now you claw back 80% to 90% of your stock value.
Okay.
Yeah. So in the worst case scenario, you might, and say you invest 10K into stock, and for whatever reason, you can't seem to ship the stock. That's not happened to me in the last 5 years, by the way. Alhamdulillah. I did experience that in the first 5 years of my journey. You clear the stock at a price that makes it a no-brainer to sell.
So I think, and this makes sense because I want to make this point, but like in a Sharia sense, you pay zakat on stock because zakat is basically it's basically wealth. It's basically cash money, right? It hasn't been liquidated.
Yes.
So which is why you pay zakat on stock, because all that stock you have in the warehouse, it basically represents money. But go on.
So I think that's where, perfect point, the importance of, when we're looking at e-commerce as an asset class, the importance of the right operator is many-fold than the importance of having the right operator in your real estate. And that's all we mentioned before the podcast, subhanAllah. May Allah give us all good and long life.
Amin.
If I was to pass away, and Majan, let's say the construction did not start yet. If I was to pass away in 1971, capital didn't happen yet. Well, yeah, alhamdulillah, I was a good operator, but I'm not irreplaceable because the asset itself is good. Another operator can come in and kind of take from there. But I think, because the point I'm trying to make is, if that stock, that $15,000, if I have no clue about the market, I can potentially get something where I don't get anything out of it. Like, it's that stock, but I know I trust Jamal and his 10 years of expertise. He's going to guide me to stocks that, worst case scenario, we could not move it. We can liquidate it and get 80-90% back. So I think we require, as an asset class, the operator is like a heavy requirement.
Which is why, for example, if someone has $1 million liquid, he'll put 300,000 of it in real estate.
Yeah.
But he'll put 45K.
No, that's the thing. With real estate, like, I own real estate.
Yeah.
But I never could have owned real estate when I was trying to make money 10 years ago.
Of course.
Like, I never could. I was only able to acquire real estate. Alhamdulillah, we own a few units now because of e-commerce.
Allahumma barik. Of course, bro. The biggest criticism of real estate.
That's exactly the point. Is that we are agreeing. Like, there's two truths to everything that we're saying. Is that it's an amazing way to make money. But the best way to preserve money is real estate. And we talked about it even last time. I don't know if you watched that episode. You know what the biggest asset that McDonald's as a brand own?
What?
Real estate. They own every single, almost every single.
Because that's what protects their downside.
That's what, imagine. Yeah. That's their biggest
That's actually the business model.
asset. Yep. It's not the brand name. It's not the food. It's not the customers. It's not everything they've done. The fact that they've taken over the world. It's the fact that the guy, Ray McCrock, what was his name?
Yeah, Ray McCrock. Yeah.
He basically came up with a model. We own the asset where our restaurant is.
But at the same time, Marriott don't own any of their hotels.
Yeah.
So they don't own the actual real estate, yet they are one of the biggest chains.
True. Exactly.
So then he's leasing out to a brand like Marriott. He can go to sleep for the next 30 years.
Exactly.
He literally does not have to care what's closed and what's open in the world, because he knows things will come back. People will need to stay in Marriott. There will be COVID and there will be post-COVID. There will be Strait of Hormuz closed. And I'm good for the next 30 years because Marriott is going to pay me lease.
It's when you're in the business of preserving wealth and let's say multiplying wealth, which is what we do, it's a very different mindset. We operate from a very pessimistic, how does this fail mindset, right? And then because that's essentially when you're sitting in a family office with a guy that has, I don't know, a billion to deploy. First thing he wants to know is what happens in the downside.
Yes. He doesn't need to make another 500 million. He wants to make sure my billion is protected and I get some.
And that's the true definition of preservation of wealth, because exactly what he said, I've already made my money, now I want to preserve it.
But that's the thing, isn't it? I think the mindsets here, we need to just identify which one we're talking to. Are we talking to the family offices that want to preserve their wealth? are we talking to the guys that want to make wealth? They have a few 100,000
Or
Make money in e-commerce, put it in real estate.
or who want to do both.
Yeah.
That's why these
Exactly.
allocations,
Or
that's
both,
how
yes,
it,
or
it
both.
works. Like I want to play
but-
defense and offense at the
That's
same
why
time.
I said, I consider it as an asset class with all due respect? Not really, because if you have to be on top of the business that much, like e-commerce, is it really preserving wealth? That
But
means it's a full-time job.
But here you don't have to be on top of it. Because
Sorry?
here you don't have to be on top of it. Obviously, it's not a fund, but it's like putting money in a fund.
But that's
And then-
because Jamal
Because
is
the
a
operator.
unicorn.
Okay, so,
It's because him, but not everybody can do what he
okay.
does.
So,
Because he's really good
So
at
I
it.
want to ask you a question based on what you do. You mentioned what the downside is, right? What's the likelihood of that downside?
The dead stock, right?
Yeah, that it being like actually materializing.
Well, it's real. It's real, and
But based on what you do,
based on
and
what we
you've
do,
done,
based
what's
on
the-
on what we
How
do,
do you mitigate it?
I've not seen that in the last 5 years, as I said, and I've launched hundreds of different products.
Okay, then let's move to another one, brother, because this is also highly unlikely. We went to the worst and the least possible one. Paid ads account getting shut down. So this I also hear. Again, I'm coming from someone, a layman.
Yeah.
Like I'm driving traffic through this source,
Yeah.
and that source, our platform, is also something I don't own.
Yeah,
Now that gets shut down, that gets taken down. Like, how does that work?
yeah, it's possible, and that's happened to me, and I'm
Yep.
sure it's happened to anyone.
Why
who's-
does that happen?
Because they've got systems that flag different accounts and adds up, and then all of a sudden now your account is banned. I've had it happen. I'm sure you've experienced it as well. So there's a solution to everything. There's a solution to everything when it comes to building and launching a brand. I had my ad account banned for about 6 weeks. This was in February of 2023, and straight away I'm part of different e-commerce networks, and I got in touch with someone, and then what I did was I started renting an agency ad account. So I was paying them $500 a month, and I was using a warmed up premium account that was very unlikely to go shut down. And then in that time, I was able to get my account back, and then eventually I
Fantastic.
I
This is gold.
sunset that account. So but there are so many hurdles. Look, it's a business.
Yeah.
You will get curveballs thrown at you left, right, and center.
Yep.
But and I've grown to love these curveballs.
Yes.
And there are very few curveballs that surprise me now.
I think, brother, that's where a lot of education is needed, right?
Yeah.
For guys like us or anyone watching that's not familiar with e-commerce model, because always in my mind is, yes, I would love to, because business is like curveballs being thrown at me, but I would like to minimize the external curveballs as much as possible.
Yeah.
Right? Because things that I don't have control over, I don't have control over.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking in my mind, paid ads is something I don't have control over. And that's the main thing that drives my business. And that's something Meta can just close without explanation. Yo, that's a risky business for me. If that's my main channel of lead acquisition and I don't control it, somebody's doing it. But now that you explained, this is great. You know, this is fantastic.
Yeah. And I always, whenever I was my most creative, where I found an angle that really moved the needle, it was because my back was up against the wall. So when Facebook shut down my BM, my business manager, obviously I went and got a new one from an agency, but we doubled down on Google ads.
Yeah.
And I would have done that if it weren't for the fact that my BM was shut down. And Google's ROAS is actually better than Facebook. It's great.
because people are actively searching. There's more
yeah.
intent. There's more buyers
Exactly.
intent.
And it's very good at picking up the last click acquisition. We call it. Facebook is good at creating that desire in people who aren't actively looking for your service or your product, but as they go and browse other websites, as they go on Google, you can retarget them. Or people who are actively looking for, say, pens, you can say, hey, check out my pen. So we went from 0% of our ad allocation to Google to 30%.
So if I'm understanding correctly, what you're saying is that there's multiple lead acquisition channels. Meta is one of them. So if that closes, you've got TikTok, you've got
Yeah, Pinterest,
Reddit,
Google,
Pinterest,
whatever.
this, that. There's so many, and even if one of those gets shut down, you can mitigate it by going to agencies and having other ad accounts. You can just make another ad account, basically.
Yeah, it just 2 months ago, subhanAllah, 2 months ago, we are about to sign the APA, the asset purchase agreement. They are about to fund the escrow. Things are about to close, and my personal Facebook profile, it gets banned out of nowhere. Out of nowhere, subhanAllah. And I can't for the life of me figure out what's going on. And that's what I use to access our ads. And alhamdulillah, I've got my team members who are part of RBM, so they were able to keep their business running, but I couldn't access the all of the different ad assets. So what I did was I was about to engage in a paid service with a Facebook insider who was gonna unblock the thingy for me. And just as I was about to do that, I thought, you know what? Let me try something. So I went on LinkedIn, and I think I've got one of the premium subscriptions, and I used a sales navigator, and I sent about 30 direct messages to Facebook employees saying, hey, here's my Facebook profile. I've done nothing wrong. Please take a look at it. See if you can reactivate it. And then one guy in Ireland who works at Facebook Ireland, Meta, he said, done. Subhanallah.
Just like that.
SubhanAllah.
It's just like that.
Yes. So Sheikh, I think I found the intrinsic value.
Go on then.
For you, bro. The intrinsic value is, I think, the digital real estate. Because as more and more people come to this space, it'll get, which you mentioned in the beginning, but I'm just like framing it in a way where like my guys, investors will understand. The digital real estate is the intrinsic value. As more and more guys come into the market of e-commerce and this paid ad costs keep going up, things get more saturated, the later people will be priced out.
But
the margin's going to keep getting lower.
Digital people come, but the more digital real estate you're taking up, then the more real estate, physical real estate you'll actually need on the ground.
It benefits.
That's the thing.
Bro, you
have to.
Yeah.
Warehouses.
Of course.
Your
exactly.
e-commerce business basically benefits everything that we do. It
Yeah,
really
exactly,
does.
bro. That's the thing. Like, I'm sorry, I have to bring it back to us. You know?
لا لازم حبيبي لازم.
No,
You have
but-
the maxi, I love it.
It's just because, honestly, like I said, it's right now we are seeing a rise in
Warehouses,
demand
it's
for
unbelievable.
warehousing because of the rise
E-commerce.
in e-commerce. So that's what I'm saying. There's true truth to it, but it's just how do I make money? Where do I preserve my money?
So basically, you guys work in tandem.
100%. Like literally before this
I
podcast,
agree.
we had our own podcast we did. And this was the topic that we were talking about because these are the asset classes we invest in. Warehouses. Why, bro? Because e-commerce is in the boom. Literally.
Because when people,
We support the physical infrastructure of your digital infrastructure that you have
unless
created.
you're a genius and you come up with some sort of way to like have just in time sort of like supply chain where like you literally don't have to store anything, which is practically, I mean, as of now impossible. I would like your opinion on this. Is there such a way where you can get something from point A to point B without having to store it?
Yes, there is, and you're right. I spend a lot of money. I don't have my own warehouse. I use different 3PLs who store my goods for me in the US.
And those are our tenants, our potential tenants. Yeah.
Exactly. So you can keep your stock local. I mean, in China itself. So if your goods are being made in China, you can keep your stock there at the supplier's warehouse.
Right.
And when you generate an order, you can fulfill directly from China to wherever the customer is. However, Islamically, this is a questionable matter sometimes because of
Really? Why?
Because drop shipping, well, that's if you're drop shipping, where you don't own
The
product,
where you're simply the middleman
Yeah.
in selling the
And it's just
product.
an arbitrage.
Exactly. Many of the clients that we work with, like Taha and Waleed and these other brothers, mashallah, they said they don't want to do anything, close to dropshipping, and because of the questionable Islamic matter.
Well, I told this day
Behind
I
it.
don't understand why this is dropshipping. I told this day I don't understand what is a question mark on dropshipping.
Yeah, me too.
It's called bait or sell him.
Yeah.
I think Sheikh Sajid Omar is fine with dropshipping. recent class he mentioned.
I do not understand for the life of me why there's a confusion around dropshipping.
Well,
But that's a separate conversation.
Yeah, of course, but
But there is a
dropship-
question mark for sure
Yeah,
in the industry.
but dropshipping is basically
It's not bait.
I sell a product that I don't own.
No,
Yeah.
1 second. That's a bad way of framing it.
Yalla.
Selling something you don't own is haram, right? And it's also permissible. It depends. If the thing when in the Sharia, when you're not allowed to sell something that you don't own, you're not allowed to sell specific things you don't own. I come to you, for example, and I say, "Hey Jamal, do you want to buy this iPad?" And I don't, and I'm talking about this particular iPad, this one right here.
Yes.
I cannot sell this if I don't own it, because there's so much
Doubt.
doubt and ambiguity and ignorance here. Because you could give me the money, I could go to Mohamed and say, "I'm never selling my iPad, bro." He could come and say, "Yeah, sure, I'll sell it, but I'll sell it for what? 20, 30, 40, 50%.
Too much
More.
gharar, yeah.
Right? There's too much gharar. There's too much uncertainty there. But if you come to me and I say, "Hey, listen, do you want to buy an iPad which has 256 gigabytes?
Give the description and
Give the
everything.
description that
Yeah.
this could bait or sell him. This is.
Then let me go find the product, and I know
I'll
I can
bring it
find
to you.
it. There's tons of it.
We have to
But
agree. We have to agree.
that's
That's
fine.
just like real estate, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have.
It's like a brokerage,
Literally.
basically, or arbitrage, whatever.
So and then there's conditions. For example, I have to make sure that I get exactly what I described.
Yeah.
I have to describe it accurately, and I have to agree upon a date where I'm going to deliver it and a place I'm going to deliver it.
Yeah.
Right now, if I don't deliver it, I'm in debt to you.
Yep.
I'm in debt to you. There's nothing wrong with that. Is that dropshipping? That I show you a bunch of products, I give the exact description online. And it's not a particular product that I'm going to give you, but I'm going to go to the warehouse and find some. There could be hundreds of these, but I'm going to find one.
No, but the thing is, not even that. You've already sampled that product, and
Yeah.
you know exactly what it is that you're advertising on your store.
Yeah, so it's even safer.
So, I've not looked into this,
Yeah.
but exactly as you described it, that is dropshipping. We don't advertise something before we've locked in a supplier, we've sampled it, we know exactly what it is that
even if
we're
you
selling.
I'm saying even if you didn't have a supplier, it's permissible. You know why?
Right.
It's only you can go find a supplier.
Yeah,
And if I don't give it to you on the date that I said I was going to give it to you, then I'm in debt.
Yeah.
So I'll give you your money back.
that's interesting.
But I'm just going to put a question mark. I'm going to research this a bit more, because those who say it's haram, maybe they saw something I didn't see.
Yeah.
But every time I ask people to explain it to me, bro, this is standard fiqh. I don't know why people have an issue with it.
Yeah, but one thing I will say, bro, is that when we are launching a brand, why the brands we launch do so well is because we don't just launch a generic brand, or we don't sell generic products. We create a brand. We create a story. And if you're dealing with suppliers in China or elsewhere, they won't give you a branded product unless you commit to a bulk order.
Yeah.
So that's why we need, $10,000 or $15,000 from our clients to be able to place a bulk order.
So they can customize, personalize, and
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask? Can I ask something to Brother Jamal, because I'm actually very curious about e-commerce. For example, like this guy that you mentioned that makes Allahumma barak 25 million a year. How long does it take to play in the big leagues, and what does it take to go into those leagues if you're starting from scratch when it comes to e-commerce? Like, is it just a scale game, or is it a niche game, or is it just a number? Like, just what is it?
It's many things, and that's a great question. To reach that kind of level, you need a lot of money, because as you're making more and more money with e-commerce, it depends if you're just scaling to the point where you want to make it as big as possible, which is in the case of my friend. He never wants to sell. He's got a cash cow that's making him 2-3 mil in profit every single month. Mashallah, he's doing really well for himself. But in order for him to get there, he had to continually reinvest the profits in the first few years, where he kept on launching new products, expanding to new markets, and to the point where now he's making multi-8 figures in sales per year. That's not my strategy.
Yeah. No, I'm just asking.
You can get there, or if you don't want to reinvest, you can bring in outside capital, and there are loads of capital providers out there who will allow you to fund your inventory, and I've used some of them in the past. and there's no interest. There's some kind of revenue share agreement that you have with them. But my strategy is build aggressively, scale, and exit in 3 to 4 years.
Build to sell, basically.
So
Yeah.
look,
So it is capital intensive when you want to play at that level.
Absolutely. Until you reach a sweet point where now you can just ride away. But the first few years you have to just lock in and forego any profit that you might want to take out.
okay. So we've run out of time.
Verdict is, Sheikh, you never asked me why 80% in real estate, and that's related to the verdict. Like why I put 80% in real estate. Because look, 30 to 40% they say in equities. I don't really believe in investing in Elon Musk's SpaceX through an index fund. So I don't put that there. So that 40% automatically goes to real estate. Then another 20-25% they say put in sukuks. According to Mufti Taqi Usmani, 85% sukuks are at the least questionable. According to Mufti Taqi Usmani, because there's no underlying asset, it's just synthetic bond and so forth and so on. It's basically interest, right? So that also part I put in real estate with cash flow. So that replaces my sukuk. Then other 10-20% they say put in real estate. So altogether comes 80%, right?
Put that in real estate.
Anyways, the other 20% though, I play with that money a lot, like the alternative investment category. And after talking to Brother Jamal, and I've been actually doing research for a week or so on his product. Okay. So I think I would put, I'm completely for putting a good chunk of my alternative investment category, a good percentage of my alternative investment category into e-commerce with Brother Jamal. Okay. With the I think, big caps lock. Don't go online and search for another guy and just put it at anyone. With Brother Jamal, absolutely, because it makes sense. But I think the whole episode was a good thesis. Yeah. I wouldn't put 100% of my money, and I wouldn't suggest anyone unless you're Jamal yourself. Yeah. Like you're the operator, you know what you're doing. Yeah. Don't wake up one day and I have saved my first 100 grand. Let's put it all into this, and it's gonna be get rich quick, because things can happen, and the downside is not as much protected as other asset classes.
Barakallah feek.
That would be my verdict.
Barakallah feek, guys. Sorry, your verdict, Sheikh.
My verdict is if you're young, or if you're making, even if you're older and you're making a little bit money on the side and you have some revenue stream, e-commerce is the best way to start, right? Up to a certain level, then you take that money and you reinvest it, or you invest it and you start slowly building up your real estate, but you do not preserve your money, or you do not consider e-commerce as a preservation of wealth method, because in my opinion, it is not.
Got you, Barakallah feek. So wealth creation, e-commerce is a good route, right? If you have the right operator. Wealth preservation, real estate.
Yeah, again, big cap, quote unquote, with Brother Jamal, not anyone else, right?
Even though I just want to clear you guys' names, anyone who does engage Brother Jamal's got to do their own due diligence, because this is just a conversation.
We're not getting paid by Brother Jamal. We love him, and we have done I would put my money. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We just your money with your due diligence.
Him. That's it.
Everyone's got to do their own due diligence. There's no actual vouching or anything like that. We're having an interesting conversation. We know our brother.
But I would put my money, honestly, with Brother Jamal. And I've never told you guys this secret. Yeah. So if I had not made it in real estate in 2012 when I was 21 years old, bro, e-commerce would be my next thing.
Yeah.
Really. Okay. I was this close to becoming an e-commerce operator. Alhamdulillah, Allah blessed me with real estate. Because that's really the closest thing.
But now you can still have your e-commerce.
Absolutely. I would put my money in, but alhamdulillah, everybody's different. I have a 20% allocation. I play with it.
Actually, a lot of brothers in the cave, which is our community, have actually already put money in Brother Jamal. One of them, who we know, Allah Barak, is doubled up with him, Allah Barak. Yeah. So there seems to be a lot of trust there. But like guys, we always say, do your.
There's someone else doubling up. They don't know. He'll tell you after the party.
Okay.
What does eco? Just a quick question.
We've run out of time. So.
It's a yes or no question.
Okay,
does construction material actually work in e-commerce?
There's nothing that doesn't work in e-commerce.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Okay, look, with that said, guys, inshallah, we'll put everyone's ecosystems below. As you know, come and check out Brother Jamal. You'll see him a lot more regularly, inshallah ta'ala, on the K podcast. With that said, may Allah Azza wa Jalla love you guys, bless you guys, put barakah in your wealth, stay away from that which is haram, of course, and do your due diligence, be responsible, and pray your salah, man. Give your zakat on your
Pray salah in masjid as much as possible.
Yeah, pray your salah in the masjid and give your zakat. With that said, some random advice. But just
Good
the
advice
important
all the
things.
same.
The important things. Just, you know, they just
Be good.
Yeah, be
Yes.
good.
Be good. Yeah.
Respect your mom and dad. Raise your kids. Don't be
do
gay.
drugs. Don't do drugs.
That's not a good one to end with.
سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله
وعليكم
وبركاته.
السلام.